Purposeful brands. What does that mean? Is that just another one of the buzzwords? Is that the new 2019 buzzword? Or are purposeful brands really what consumers these days want to see? And how do brands go about achieving purposefulness? And what does it mean? Who would like to kick off first?
I mean, I think it's a really interesting subject. I think one thing that would be useful to define is purposefulness for who, for a brand or for an audience, because if we talk about the recent Gillette example, is that to change cultural mores and behaviour towards women, for example, or in this instance, or is it to sell more razors, or is it both? And shareholders in Gillette will have a very strong view of to what purposefulness means. How does that coincide with an audience?
Yeah, I would agree, and I'm not sure it's a 2019 thing, in the sense we've probably seen a lot of talk over the years. There's the sort of the double bottom line. There's is it for shareholders, is it for the variety of stakeholders, whether that's employees, the environment, future generations, and sort of the list can go on. But what I think is interesting that we're starting to see is that, and Gillette's going to be an interesting case study for this going forwards, I think, is if you try and own a cause on a campaign basis, so let's say you want to own it for 3 or 4 weeks while, let's be honest, while your ad is running, it's going to be hard to have credibility around that purpose, around that cause in the sort of medium and long term. Whereas if you actually truly own that cause, it means you're doing an awful lot beyond the ad itself. You're talking about it 365 days a year, that the consumers, the people for whom that purpose exists, don't really care when you choose to buy your media or not. And then you're actually doing other initiatives beyond simply talking about it that will really bring it to life. So I think my perspective on sort of purpose is it's sort of here to stay. It's been around a while. Brands do need to embrace something bigger than just selling more razors. But the proof's going to be in the pudding as to whether they actually kind of walk that walk a bit more.
I would agree. I don't think it's new either. I do think there's an awful lot more brands that are involved and, very committed to purpose. But if you look at Unilever, and their sustainable living brands, all of those brands have proven to have growth of more than 50% over the last 2 years. So to your point, it's not new, but I do think we're going to see a lot more brands coming forward with a purpose. They've got to do it with authenticity, though. Otherwise, no one's going to believe in it and no one's going to engage with it.
I agree with that. The authenticity is important, and it's one thing, it's good PR to take a traditional brand like Gillette and make it relevant to today's audience, give it a social media hashtag that gets everyone talking about it in a different light. I know that might be a cynical view, but it's the point about having an inherent truth within a brand and that purpose is absolutely true. I think what we do see is that there are increasingly people, consumers will align themselves to brands whose ideas that kind of fit with their own. So I think that's true. And I think similar to the sort of diversity debate, there is a lot of research that says the more you expand diversity, this actually actively helps a bottom line. You get more ideas, you get more kind of feedback from more areas, you open up new customers, and I think with purposefulness that's a similar thing.